Thank you. So, welcome to Lumsden CPT session. And today we have a CPT session on career as an entrepreneur. And we have one entrepreneur from Ladakh. And Achille Kunzes Angmo. And she started a startup known as lehvallee handmade textile. And before jumping onto the session, I will give a brief intro about Lumsden organization. Okay. So, yeah. So Lumsden is an organization of young people who share the same passion for assisting their fellow students and professionals from different part of the world. Students of different grades are offered assistance to pursue their dreams in life. Various students, due to incompetent facilities, opportunities in their own native area, find the necessity for moving to other cities to pursue their studies career. So pursuing studies or hunting jobs in other cities opens a whole new can of worms. Okay, in their cruises, students often get trapped into dilemmas such as which college to study, which course to opt for, or will do engineering do the best for them, or should they opt for commerce courses, and the list goes on for eternity. Okay, so in all this chaos, many students end up studying in wrong colleges, schools, or leaving the idea altogether and returning back to their respective homes. So at Lumsden, we connect students from remote areas to mentors and professional at global level. Okay, so and there was a brief intro about Lumsden, and um, due to some technical issues, our session might end after 40 minutes. Okay, if that happens, please do click on the link again and join the session. Okay, and after if any one of you have a questions to Ache Kunzes Angmo, please do type in the chat box, or you can ask later. Okay, at the end of the session. So, not taking much time, I will request Ache Kunzes Angmo to please share your experience or journey of an entrepreneur. Okay, so over to you, Achale.
Acha, Lundule, first tell me one thing.
Yeah.
Achale. So, hello everyone. This is Kunzes, and I'm an entrepreneur. So I'm just hoping what is here in this session today inspires to be an entrepreneur. So somehow, we will start with first. I'll start with my introduction, and after that, I will take you through some of the key questions, like what is an entrepreneur, why to be an entrepreneur, and in the end, we can also talk about how to set up a business, how to look for opportunities around you. So to start with my introduction, I'm Kunzes. I started my journey as an entrepreneur about 4 years back. So after completing my studies, I had two roads in front of me. One was to obviously to look for a job, and other was to start something of my own. Now, the later it gave me it was a huge crisis inside whether to, because I know the risk of falling, I know the risk of failing, and all the risk that it takes to be an entrepreneur. So before that, I'll tell you about my schooling. So I did my schooling from London School till 10th, and for 11th and 12th, I opted for science because that was what I wanted to study. And after that, because I did not want to go into engineering or into an MBA course or anything, I really wanted to pursue my studies in sciences itself. So I went for my graduation in chemistry. So till then, I was taking a safe route for myself. Am I audible to everybody? I just hope I'm audible. Am I audible to everybody?
Yeah.
Yes, actually, you
Yeah,
are.
we can.
Oh, so after my graduation, I did not I'll tell you some of my personal experiences. I did not personally want to continue my study in chemistry itself, but that was at that time the right thing to do. like because I had studied like 3 years of chemistry and my grades were also fine. So it was the right thing to do at that point of time to go opt for chemistry. And what I actually wanted to do was I really wanted to study environment. Like I had a huge interest in environmental studies, but at that point of time, because it was the right thing to do, and because I got into like my masters in Delhi College, Delhi University itself, so I opted for it. But while I was doing my masters, I still had all these questions in my head, like whether like am I opting for the opting for the right thing. So what happened, like after 2 years after doing my masters, I was sitting for some of the exams like that of net, grf, gate, and all of those exams. And in the same, like during that time also, like we have a lot of questions in ourselves, like whether are we choosing the right path. But because that was the paved path, that was the easier option, so I opted for it. For about 3-4 years I opted for it. Then what happened was like at the same time, like I was traveling around a little, and I was going through some of the books. And one of the most impactful book that I came through was The Fountainhead. So that book, it changed my life to a great extent, because it it was actually talking about what you want to do in life, in the sense that there are so many aspects around us, like there are society, what society thinks about us. So a lot of times we act according to the society, like we act according to what is the like the best option around us. We usually tend to take the safe road home. So what happened was like that book, it kind of like put me again in a lot of dilemma, whether am I doing the right thing, am I taking the right path. So in the same year I happened to go to Paris, like to see my family. And also over there, like for 5 6 days I was just wandering the streets of Paris. And over there I was looking at all the paintings, all the artwork, and all the streets and all, like whatever it was, like somehow, because of all of those things, I decided later on to actually try something of my own. So it came out as an opportunity for me, doing what I'm doing, because before I came into this, the whole business setup of my own, my sister was already working towards it. Now she had already seen, because I didn't tell you what I'm doing. I'm actually like, I'm an entrepreneur. So I have a showroom in Leh that goes by the name lehvallee handmade textile. I have a sister brand in France that goes by the name Yagdol. And right now I have an industrial unit in Chuklamsa. So in the industrial unit, I have about 6-7 permanent employees who are working for me, 2 freelancers who are working from like outside for me, and besides that, like around 100 women who does spinning for me, especially in Pashmina. So like that is the whole setup of my business at the moment. So after so where was I? Yeah. Okay, so when I really got the opportunity to do this thing, like I didn't want to let it go. I wanted to give it a go. So before I came into this whole setup, my sister had already laid a little base. She's based in France, so she had really seen an opportunity in the market where we can work with Pashmina products, where we can work with local women, where we can find a bridge somewhere to bridge the story of Ladakh to a European market. But she had never found the right person to execute her dream over here. So after 3 years, after 2 years of masters and 1 year extra, I came back to Ladakh. I sat, I because I at that point of time I was really not sure whether this is the right thing to do, because my whole studies has been like very different from what I was about to do. So we have to be really sure whether you can really commit to something like this in the long run. So what did I do? I came over here. I started learning about weaving, about the kind of skills that we have in Ladakh, and I started looking at, well, like how can I improve the skills that is already there, whether there is scope of improvement and whether I would be able to do it or not. So in the first year, I sat with like initially, like we just did a small setup, just 2 looms, a very small setup, and I was getting one of the weaver on a freelance basis. So half of the day she used to work at the cooperative society, and the other half she used to just come and do a little weaving, do a little weaving for me. So sitting with her, like where was I? Okay, yeah. So after doing my base over here, after working with the entrepreneurs, we saw that there can be a possibility uh, in which I can just hold on. Like not only how actually just hold on. I'll share with you PPT, all of you, which I had prepared for all the entrepreneurs around, talking about entrepreneurship, what, why, and how. So what is entrepreneurship? Why to choose entrepreneurship as your career option? And after we get to that, like how to set up a business plan. So the first question is like who is an entrepreneur? So like according to Merriam-Webster dictionary, an entrepreneur is the one who organizes, manages, and assumes the risk of a business or an enterprise. So it is really important to all of you to like really go through the definition once. Like it's because the whole idea of entrepreneurship, it lies in the definition itself. So as I say, like an entrepreneur is an individual who has innovative business ideas. So the word innovative is really important because if you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to start with an idea which it doesn't necessarily have to be something which doesn't exist in the market already, but it has to have something where you think you can add your own value to it. Like let's say if it's a simple bookshop, and and you want to open a bookshop as an entrepreneur. So it's like there might be a 5-6 bookshops existing in the market, but what kind of value added service can you give in the bookshop? Like how can you make it something of your own? That is really important. Like having that innovative business idea, like giving that uh, value added value added idea to value added characteristic to the whole idea, and it should be challenging, and innate necessary action works differently to realize the same. So it creates, develops, and manages the business venture with personal risk for potential profit and assumes accountability for it. Now, this word, personal risk, the risk factor is like it's a huge, like it's a big factor in business, because whenever you start a venture, there's a huge risk of failure. There's a huge risk that like the time that you put into the entrepreneurship, like the whole idea of setup of a business, it can come in like either you can win at it or you can lost it, like you can lose it at the end of it. But whatever happens, like either we win or at the end of the day we learn. So you the words which are whenever we talk about entrepreneurship, the words that come like a lot into the screen is like business. Like whenever we talk about entrepreneurship, we talk about business, we talk about opportunity, we talk about organization, how we are going to organize ourselves and how are we going to organize the people around us. We talk about management, like how are we going to manage our time, our finances, the people around us. And there are a lot of financial risk involved in entrepreneurship. So entrepreneurship is the skill. So it's like whenever we talk about entrepreneurship, like these kind of words is gonna emerge over and over again, like business, opportunity, organization, management, and financial risk, all of these words. So like putting all the words together, what we can say is entrepreneurship is a skill that involves seeing an opportunity and then starting, organizing, and managing a business, which involves taking financial risk. So there are various stages in the growth of an entrepreneur. It's like the whole idea, it comes from what is an entrepreneur and why you want to become an entrepreneur. So like so there is one aspect of it is like income generation. So what happens is like a lot of people, they're doing some other work. They're having their job, and then on the side they want to start a small business which can just help them generate income. So it's like it's often income generation is often part-time and casual and practice for raising additional income. No, you don't necessarily have to be involved in businesses like this. It's just that you are doing your job, and then on the side you have set up a small venture, like which runs on its own without too much involvement on your part. Now, other aspect is self-employment, where you are you are fully involved in the business that you started. Like it requires full-time involvement in one's occupation and does not involve much risk. But these kind of ventures, it won't require as much risk as an entrepreneurship does. Like we can say, like there is a demand of general store in the market, and you open the general store. Now you're just being the medium of that supply and demand chain. But these kind of but it doesn't involve any self innovation, or it doesn't involve too much of risk. So those kind of it comes usually from if you really want to self-employ yourself, but then you do not want to take risk. And the third kind, like on which I'm focused, is entrepreneurship. Now, what happens in entrepreneurship is like it stands aside from the other two sources of employment, the income generation and self-employment. And this entrepreneurship, it will require your full-time involvement. And once you are an entrepreneur, you will learn there are a lot of management required. Like in terms of time, you have to manage your time. In terms of skill, like you have to continuously learn. You have to continuously see uh, how can you improve yourself. You have to continuously look around to look for opportunities. and and it requires a lot of organization. So it's like entrepreneurship, it requires full-time involvement in managing skillfully, and person who organizes, manages, and assumes the risk of business and sustains with activity. And being an entrepreneur, like it is very important that you also understand the risk that it takes to be an entrepreneur. So it involves a lot of risks too, but the risk should not be that high. It's going to put you in a lot of loss. So it always has to be a calculative risk. Now, all this, how much of risk you can take is like you have to look at the market trend also, whether the thing that you want to put in the market is something that has demand in the market or not. Like, so you have to make a very calculative decision. You have to take a very calculative risk. You cannot just dream to go really big. First, you have to lay your grounds. You have to understand like what the customer demands. So there are a lot of stages in the growth of an entrepreneur. So as I told you, and what does an entrepreneurship compose of? It's like it composes a lot of risk-taking factor. And I'll tell you my own story when it comes to risk-taking, because it's been around 3 to 4 years since I started my journey. And since I started my journey, last year was the first year when I started drawing income out of the enterprise which I had started with. So it's like for 2-3 years we were just laying the grounds. We were just studying the market. We were just training people. So it's like it takes a lot of dedication. So you cannot say like you're full of what do you call it? You cannot be totally driven towards a financial. Being an entrepreneur, you cannot be driven towards like, okay, now this is going to give me huge money, so I want to do it. That's going to be like, it's going to be really demotivating for you at some point. So what is my whole idea around my business is I want to make an impact. Okay, so as I told you, right now I have around like 110, 20 people associated with my project. And the fact that I'm able to support that many families, the fact that I'm able to give employment to at least like full-time employment to at least 5 or 6 people, it's like it gives huge motivation to me. So that is what drives me to do what I'm doing at the moment. It's like and I'm not saying like there can be no financial gain. It's just that if you are completely driven towards a financial gain, it's just that it's going to break you more at some point. It's what I feel. So you have to have something more than that. You have to keep your attitude right. You have to know why you're doing the things that you are doing, and you have to keep your intentions very clean. You have to have intentions of the kind like this is why I want to do, because this is how I'm going to impact my society. This is how I'm going to impact my culture. So it's like entrepreneurship. It requires a lot more than just being driven towards finances. Like if your whole motivation is to have a financial gain, so then it's like it's better to set up a business according to that. Now it doesn't necessarily have to be. Okay, so we were talking about what does an entrepreneurship compose of. It composes of a lot of risk taking, and you need a lot of self motivation while you're an entrepreneur, because there is nobody to pull you, so nobody to push you, so you always have to pull yourself up. So it's like and being an entrepreneur, you always have to believe in change, growth. Why do I say this? Because like like uh, like let's take this COVID situation for example. So because of this whole COVID situation, there are a lot of businesses, a lot of startups that has gone down the drain during these times. But this is the life of an entrepreneur. Like being an entrepreneur, you have to be ready for challenges like this. So what did I do during this whole COVID situation was just to keep myself motivated. I knew there was no way I was gonna stop. There was no way like my 3 to 4 year journey can come to a hold because of something like this. So this year, because last year most of my customers were European and Americans, so this time we directly exported all the products to Europe. So you always have to be ready for change. You always have to adapt according to the situation around you. So that is one trait of an entrepreneur, and you have to you always have to look for opportunities around you, and you cannot let small failures or what do you call it? Small failures or small not getting the word. Um, Whatever it is, you cannot let things around you rule you. You have to rule yourself. You have to rule the people around you, and you have to be your own boss, as I say it. And there is a lot of scope for creativity in terms of entrepreneur. Now I don't mean creativity in terms of like drawing a sketch or like making something beautiful and all. It's just that you have to be creative in terms of like from marketing point of view. There can be a lot of scope for creativity, like how do you present yourself, what kind of products do you want to make. So all of these things you learn as you take up this journey of an entrepreneur. And there always have to be flexible goals. You cannot stick to one goal and say like this is it. Like as an entrepreneur, you always have to have a small term goal and a long term goal. Like small term goal can be for a week, but you always have to have a goal of 3 years. Where do you want to be 3 years down the line? Where do you want to be 5 years down the line? And how do you want your company to look like as you grow? And always you have to look for innovative economic activities and developing skills, your own skills. It's never going to stop. There is no end to learning, so you have to keep on improving your own skills. So next topic that we come to is like, why entrepreneurship? Why should you choose entrepreneurship as a journey? Now, a lot of things that I said till now might have scared a lot of you in some way. So I'm telling you like why I am doing the things that I'm doing. Because being an entrepreneur, what happens is like there is a lot of unknown around you. Like if you have a stable job from 9 to 5, a lot of things are paved for you. Like you have a like a route to follow. Like but then it can get like boring at some point because you're following the same routine over and over again. But being an entrepreneur, there's a lot of unknown. Sometimes I don't know like how is it going to be 7 days down the line, and I can only dream about like how my company is going to look 1 year down the line. So it's like it has a lot of adrenaline rush inside your body being an entrepreneur. And you have to constantly meet a newer, better version of yourself. So it's like, it's a constant improvement. It's like being an entrepreneur, you get to like know yourself so much better. Like, so, and you know your flaws better, and you know your qualities better. So how to improve on that qualities, and how to improve on the flaws, and how to like take full usage of your of your qualities is like, it's one of the things that entrepreneurs do. And there's a lot of freedom, like there's a lot of freedom in movement, lot of freedom in creativity, in like you name it and you have it. It's like that. So there's a lot of freedom in entrepreneurship. And it's like when we say, like, we are on a video game on the phone, and then you have the thrill running around you all the time. You want to jump to the next level and then to the next level. That's how life of an entrepreneur is like. It's the greatest game you can ever play. So it's like, instead of being, if you choose to be in a job from 9 to 5, it's a different story altogether. But being an entrepreneur, it's like you are playing a big game, and then it's going to give you a lot of highs and a lot of lows in life, but at the end it's really worth it. Now I have added the next point, that you don't have to be a genius. Now why do I say this? Is because like being an entrepreneur, you can hire a genius to do the work that you don't know how to do. So it's like, you just have to know what is the right thing to do for your company. What is the what kind of qualities do you want in your company? And you can always look for geniuses who can like do all of those jobs for you. You don't have to be there and then do everything. Like, as I said, for me, like when I started, I learned how to weave, I learned how to spin, and I still read a lot about like creating weaving designs, and how to design in spinning and all of those things. Because, and but then I don't have to sit on the loom and do the same thing the whole day. It's just that I have to know what do I want to do, and I can always execute it to a person who can do it better than I can do it. So that is how like it works for an entrepreneur. And as I told you, there's a lot of scope for creativity, and more than that, there is this idea of contribution, like how you can contribute to a society. It's like so what how I am, this sense of contribution is one of the biggest reason why I started my entrepreneur journey. Because I knew, when I started this journey, I knew there was a huge potential in the business of Pashmina. And I knew that like all the Pashmina were getting uh, drained into Kashmir, or drained into Ludhiana, or Manali, and all of those places. But Ladakh is not uh, getting much of an advantage from this huge resource that we have. So it's like, so, and in a way, we wanted to bridge the people of Changthang, the people of Ladakh, to the world. So that's how we started with the whole idea of our business, and that's how we are still going forward with our business. So there's a lot of scope for contributing to a society if you are an entrepreneur, instead of going after a job, which can be taken by another one, or somebody else also. And and you are free to be weird. Now I say this point because a lot of times I always thought I'm a little weird. I don't fit into the same conventional methods that the society fit into, and all of those things. So it's like, if I was working in a research center or one of the jobs, I'm sure I would have been categorized as being a little weird. But then being a little weird is always good for an entrepreneur, for a business. You can always water all the plants, water yourself for being weird, and then it gives you a lot of scope for creativity, and a lot of scope altogether. And you have a voice. Now I wanted to add at this point, because since I've started with my journey, I've realized, 4 years, 3 years down the line, I realized that I have a voice. And it is because of this voice that I'm speaking to all of you today. And it is because of this voice that I also go to a lot of meetings with the high-end bureaucrats in Ladakh, like talking about how can we improve the cottage industry, how can we improve this textile industry of Ladakh, and our voice, it matters. When we're an entrepreneur, it matters. They take up your ideas, they believe in your ideas, and they're even ready to invest in your ideas. So that is how it goes, and you can change the world. Now, all of you might think like it's too much to say words like you can change the world, but you can look at all the entrepreneurs, all the good examples that we have around who have actually changed the world. Like we can talk about Bill Gates. Bill Gates, he was an entrepreneur, and then and it's because of him that this whole internet revolution came up. There is Jeff Bezos, who started with the whole this social network, this platform on the internet to do with the to gap the customer to the producer, and then he created this whole online shopping market. So it's like, and then there is Steve Jobs, there is Elon Musk, and there are so many entrepreneurs like that around us who has actually changed the world, and we can be one. Like you don't have to change the world in like a very big sense, but we can do our small contribution to the small society that we live in. Now, there are no age bars to be an entrepreneur. You can be an entrepreneur at the age of 16. You can be an entrepreneur at the age of 22. You can be an entrepreneur at the age of 30. You can be an entrepreneur at the age of 70, 50, 82, whatever the ages, there is no age bars. All that you have to have is a little dream and a little self-belief that your dream can take you in a direction. And when we become an entrepreneur, what happens is like we start realizing our strength and weaknesses a lot. Because regularly, like when you're following a routine, you just follow the routine. We don't know our strengths, we don't know our weaknesses. So being an entrepreneur, it's like you get to feel all the strength and weaknesses that you have inside, very clearly. It becomes very crystal clear. And after saying so many things about entrepreneurship, like if you still want to be an entrepreneur, if all of you still want to be an entrepreneur, and if you really think you can be one, if you really think you have the idea, and you really think that you should go forward with it, so we will have a small slide on like how to do the market study and how to like get started, how to get started at the first point. So this is how to get started. So first is selection of a product. First, you have to think in your head, what kind of product do you want to give in the market? Whether you believe in the product that you're giving in the market, whether it's going to be sustainable in the long run, whether you see that's how the trend of the market is going to be in 2 years down the line, in 3 years down the line, or 5 years down the line. Like to believe in your product is really important to be an entrepreneur. Otherwise, you are going to get demotivated very soon, and that's something which I don't want to happen to you guys. After that, you have to do market study, market survey, and feasibility study. So you have to see the trend of the market, whether there is a market for the kind of products that you want to make. And usually what happens is like if you really believe in your product a lot, because when I started with my product, I really didn't know the kind of response that I will get from the market. But then it was the belief in the product itself that we made the product and we put it into the market, and the reaction has been marvelous since then. So it's like you really have to believe in the product, and then you have to do a little market survey. Now you can take the risk according to the market survey that you have done. If you're not very sure, if you're not 100% sure that how people are going to receive your product, then the best thing to do is like you don't invest a lot of your, like financially you don't invest a lot. You do like you take a calculative risk, as I told you before. And once the market starts accepting your product, starts receiving it, and once you know that this is where the trend of the market is going, you can always go for bigger investments. Like I told you, I started my business with a loan of 25 lakhs from Prime Minister's Employment Generation Program, out of which 35% was subsidized by the government, which means like around 9 lakh was given to me by the government to do the startup, which I have done. And rest, it's like the bank invested in it. And then I invested like only around 5% of the whole sum. So 3 to 4 years down the line, I know there is a huge potential for the kind of products that I'm doing in the market. So what we are planning to do now is like we are planning to expand the whole project. Like for first 3 years, we invested in planning, and now we are going to execute the plan. Like this comes under our 5-year plan to make the project big, to get more people into the loop. So from 6 to 7 employees, we want to go to 15 to 20 employees, if possible, and we want to make their so all of these things are under plan. And as an entrepreneur, you always have to have a plan like that in your head. Like you always have to have a road ahead. You always have to look at yourself 2 years down the line. You always have to look yourself 3 years down the line. And then there are small term plans where you have to look at yourself 7 days down the line. And it's a continuous improvement. It's a continuous struggle in a lot of ways. Then you have to do resource mobilization and business plan preparation. In that it comes like applying for loans and all. Once you have the idea, once you have done a little bit of market study, you have to you can always apply for government loans. Now the government, like it gives us a good subsidy for startups. If you have an innovative business idea, like the government is ready to invest in those ideas. So you should keep your eyes always open for these loans that we get in the from the government. Like as I told you, the one that I applied for was PMEGP, Prime Minister's Employment Generation Program. So in the first 3 years, we had applied for a loan of 25 lakhs, which was the maximum that I could apply to at that point of time. And after 3 years, now they're giving loan of around 1 crore to do an expansion in the business. You're getting it. So it's like if your business idea is feasible, like they invest upon you in the long run. And then obviously it comes after procurement of finance, technology, land building, and all. It comes after you apply for loan, and then you start with the business. Then there is production, and then you have to do costing and pricing, like how much is the cost of your product, and how much do you want to price it for in the market. And there is this marketing management, money management, and account and record keeping and all. It all, like all of these, the second part of it comes after you start with a business. So I will stop over here. And if you have any questions, you can always put forward. I am comfortable both in.
No, it's fine. So, yeah, there's one question from Dorje Gelson that are you the only founder? He's asking, are you the
Okay,
only founder?
am I the only founder? No, Dorje, like I am the founder of the company over here. I am the sole sole person responsible for the company in Ladakh. So our company goes by the name Ladakhi Loom, the industrial unit. And over here, I am the sole founder, but I have a marketing partner based in France, who is my sister. So that's it. Do you have more questions?
If anyone have any queries, please do ask, or you can type in the chat box also.
Okay, sure.
Can I ask one?
Yeah, let's hang it.
Okay, so actually, what do you do like to motivate yourself? Like in business, you may get down sometimes, and sometimes you get high. But to stay motivated, how do you do? What do you do?
Actually,
Yeah,
no, like as I told you, like the intention with which you start your business, it's really, really, really important. for me, like when I started with my business, my whole intention was like I want to contribute to the society that I am in. So whenever like I feel low, whenever I feel like okay, this is it, like maybe I should take like it happened in the beginning of the whole COVID situation. Also, I just told myself, okay, fine, like maybe I should just take a break for 1 year, and then after 1 year, I'll see how can I bounce back. But then when I look at my employees, because not only like I have all the employees that I have, like they rely upon me. So I just could not just go into the comfort zone and then just be there. So my whole motivation was like, how can I keep going in all these circumstances also? And as I told you, our whole idea, it started with how to bridge the gap from Ladakh to the world, how to set up a cottage industry in Ladakh itself. And it does get really difficult at times, but but then I look at faces around me, so I think that gives me the whole motivation most of the time. There are obviously days when I just sit in the bed and then I refuse to come out, but at the end of the day, I think all is well.
Oh, hello, man.
Hello.
Hello. Julie, I would like to speak in Ladakhi, right?
Yeah, sure, Ole.
Oh, new question we using, but yana product meda.
Ole.
What the product to foreign na yana export pi approach ka use to atle export je pe product kun.
Acha, no, laksangai chi chusten zenale, my brand setup chuchuse koshish chusten yale. Like
Yale.
I can practice chana retailer through chongste man yale. Like ngaya anaro brand chik chusten, because agar brand chik macho na chi sharuk zena, it's like then you just become a medium chik chimana in our call ane tema call. Yung ngai whole idea krang man pilsa start chuchesele. If yung ngaya aka daksa ngi achile pura invested jutle. France
Yale.
kave brand boys chat no but if I daksangai personally ikane so as just cargo just kalta no gale pura declare chano on the way pura declare show sano kile some product kalat product value chamin otina veka khona akalip tena khone aka declare show sano so le French government ki like some product or some value in it so le tena hisab se awang taxes jo jak aro product value was so chano le ladak se sang so la ngata ika cost mangpo metal nole
Actually, then is export license you don't go sana.
export license goes on no export license goes on yale ngaya daksa
Like
wool and is okay member in yale so ale
yale.
wool company member in yale is okay exactly ngazu project rang WWEPC la chuli tuk sir kan jot pale tyo manpa export license ko rang like ladaki lum ngata la company mi ka te ngata GST registration gun go sano yale company existence yo da met tan go sano yale tyo nang chi export chuchen ka in auto detailing mangpo yo no sale te sangma chona yang po obviously in export through channel le but
Okay.
advantage
Actually,
chi chas na ole like as an
that's like
exporter na ole
okay. So yanang monale.
acha okay as an exporter ya le ngata advantage no ya le mangpo जैसे अगर ngata philok che ngata export chata ya ting ne ngata government ko ngata consider che manale ki like acha khoina potential do khoi yu choru then ki like tene ngata nga isu ko khone isu ground tang do pano no ting ne ya le ki like acha khoya ka basic ngata provide che manale gradually agar ngata thore je ngata isu wo trade fair je chengin ra ka tu na otto chok chala gonya le government ko sponsor chu satano echi question le
Ale dine yant question chet pa chilo taksa nge nga chok na taksa izuk export pe chitong age limit kya license pe like I am 20 right taksa nga 20 in le
no नहीं age limit में क्या no is a company existence go sano so ale
achete
that some shit like private through ngas no tan so ale te bena chi no sana ika ladak sana industrial unit chingai support person so ale like industry na nga isu ga chak industry registration no chak ladak sa so ale त्यो नंग अगर नया लो सुम ये सुम जिने फला अगर business पर running होत ना पूरा बैंक statement होत क्या मतलब माता existence यूज जते स्थान को सनो गया ले तो त्यो वैसे products उसे का जो बंग सोसो योड तो ले का जगह export shot ते जगह हिसाब से जो कौन सो दो तंगे रंगा rules and regulations सो दो but का route पोंगाई नेन पिनो तो नंगे ना documents submit हो शाले जैसे GST registration some shigot bank details gon submit हो शमा नाले export जो खाला export certificate खाला ले
अच्छा तक्सा इंचे वो ये तक्सा ngana startup jichos pinpa covid-19 begin lockdown begin time ka ni e-commerce start jos pinpa to ti e-commerce
अच्छा
ni
okay
da ni sum da sum spa like sting ni fund comes ni investment mango makal state ni fund comes ni bunches shutdown jos pinpa ta
okay
taksa next project wo inna ngata taksa foreign company ni export jos isu and chpa to ti ula registration the company registration like hale
company registration not gon ghost nokle ira
otila
company
taksa
registration
isu
ghost nokle
18,000 chitong registration jitupa OTP nga main problem taksa ina financial problem yorakpa OTP taksa ngata government Indian government through chitong loan scheme yukya ngata youth specific pya
ngani tasam shike zuk shik masong le 6 7 tam izuk sung pene no tanga exactly to amra gale export registration izuk pole tyo izuk kana zong ma chos pin 18,000 chikta inting me tange to cross check chos tenga no ra personally izuk chos yale text chos
chigak le
listing
ngina
yale
contact na agar whatsapp ni izuka ina group taksa group chat ga ni izuka phone number izuk deal tingi ni nga chawon tashi zelpa ni izuk phone number kalta timena latte
ole
thank you
ole
so
ole
much
no ra okay ole ole
okay thank you for your time man
oh listing ne izuk chos ko ile ठीक वाले
okay
exactly
group
izuk
chat
puchi
ni
te
guys
yale oh ole
ठीक है thank you so much Julie
ole chile okay questions dukle thank you so much for the insights okay yale
No, yeah, tenale.
acha now inale how can we be flexible with changing our idea and fix our core belief in our product and services we already started to no ra che to start chos to damet le tong supek hello rubule
ये चूस्ते में दा चले दक्सा हेलो
acha so te
हेलो
cheshan inale hello
ये चूसे
hello
चले ले उतना करा है फिर से
cheshan
कंफ्यूज
inale tene
हेलो
tene already
तो
zuk
चीज
right product ka zuk tum ruk fet tuk ruk tene already change just sama tang sa do idea chin
हम बात हम
yale
ना चले यार चीज ना याले
yale
मेंटर मंगतो जिते बताऊं ओपन प्रोसेस में चैनल नोक जैसे करे
yale
हेलो
hello
तने वो
no
तो
no avoid
कभी कभी जैसे
yale
कि ये टूरिज्म में ना यूथ पिन याले
okay
हेलो
ole ole ole
ये टूरिज्म ना यूथ पिन ता जैसे कि खची जैसे मानले इस पेंडेमिक ना we have to change our ideas तो जैसे मानले जैसे कि गांगरा प्रोडक्ट या मैंने सर्विस करते तो बिलीफ रख याले तो का मतलब ता इका ओपन दुखचे ना फ्लेक्सिबल दुखचे ना मतलब यंग आइडियाज ना मूव सचे ना वो तो ताइरा एक्चुअली एक शुरू कर
so usually no eso chelo le ngata yale itna su ke income generation if ya yang source chigo nang dik tan yale so le kabe na
ओले
no
ओले ओले
pura invested duga med do so le but then te gradual tabe chik income chigo shimana le te jage ka le
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल
but
बिल्कुल
no agar already tourism in a time invest chosto na product like rang echi services ta na te ka bharosa yo na yale te bharosa na ngazu peka stick chosto du kosto no yale chezana mata industry ko na te chharu pa jese na start chosto ban chik chano first year na mi khachik mane malib na yale then second year super mangarik marketing matlab ekdam chi ka result thopche chane zuk ma ro yale industry gata presence yung go shema na le avena time mang pe fia presence yung go suluk to nang continuously last to nang continuously ngata network kane thop du continuously kazi ngata improve chain how can we like awon ne sangata kazi ma stand out chain chi chu zete matlab auto zu ko matlab continuous process shilu zu pa so le ngata une na
ओले ओले
so but agar by chance agar जैसे ta thambe mang pe zera no pa le tanga ta is thing ne ngayang pata met kya jese ngayang tourism based industry ji no le khas kar ki lada sa yot kan bo
ओले ओले
chezana is ngai customer among chat po foreigner shot minyale naning
कैसा
like naning maninga ile showroom mani papes pin but mang chat po ngai foreigner shot pin tena Europe nang zu ke side nyong chana nale ta lada
ओले
suk shiga agar nangbo tanga ta is samba ka jiks te duk na ki like acha talo pandemic ngson nangbo chi chen chi shi gyuz me zete ya jang machwa duk sama 장 point 지락 마락 바라가래 우리 피안 노노라랑 해석 페나가 보리야래 나도 가족에 또 improve 중에 녹도스 가족에 innovate 중에 녹 가족에 때문에 뭔가 participate just network 가족이 뭔가 build 중에 녹도스야래 at the same time agar job chikavena investment mamang ko chame diale kavi kane like regular source of income chunji gyong chejotna oto sostai pe setup kune ngata ezuk tang nadik tanole te ngata invest na tano side by side chun chun ezuk na setup
startup jikchona lo sum ji ting mane da mala profits
startup sete man bayan no startup is not like it's like much more no so like startups is like ngata pura energy na ngata pura core botena chalak pena chamiro chalo pale pura time energy chi sang matena na invest hon no so le tai you ni ngara personal perspective nya ki like ngata te chalak chena investors to born adik teno kavi kane like kavi na ngata presence marante zaruri meddo isa ngata general store ji open choste mo sha chunji so le te ngata mi chi born na store born chain ngata tena isu ko manage to chess mane ya pura ngata time energy invest ma chano patena
बिल्कुल ngata core belief पे गजो चला ले ngata का product
iya le tanu no agar dim isu samad na ya le ki like travel industry khurang ye fia inda ngai na industry na dumin yot ngami na point interact which is demo tsura rak na inna chungin rak like if fia like nizera lang ta even na ma energy charu pa ya le chi chona angara project pe na ma energy charu so le nge like continuous ma demotivating charu so le it's like it's quite natural it's ang chacha jale but then I core ji ka stick song te believe she ka stick song te tena wanga ta flirt like chutang ste kazu chin mo chen ngata strength kun kazu ngata gwa kirin weakness kun ka kazu last chen yale tedik what the shi na to go into to as an entrepreneur so ale
one more question actually please yale
ole
जैसे कि तांगाता जेन ओपले जैसे कि ngata da इसका तो हम बिजनेस ngata स्टार्टअप जी ngata स्टार्ट करना जैसे कि ngata को-फाउंडर जी को साथ आले को-फाउंडर तो सिखाओ के तना ngata ने बोला स्ट्रीट चाहिए कि apart from ngata याले फ्रेंड सर्कल मन bayang कदू करी करी ngata को-फाउंडर का चार्ज ये चाहते हैं अच्छे ना एक्सपीरियंस ना
taya no co-founder jiga na poya mostly ngatang ni chang is ka chik na chika compliment jogos no so ale agar business booming chi charuk na time like mang pe na like me is some like invested jog na so ale business shi na clash of ideas chachama na le ideas clash chachama interest clash chachama no so ale te finisha gulla ma sure yung gosto no ki like ngatang I business po chod na chief feature sen ngatang core principles I business na chilusin so ale ngatang ethics chin ngatang principles chin ngatang values chin ngatang vision chin so ale agar auto changma shares chod na ya then iska chikna chiga complement chod na ya ni cha partnership na last chon dik tanok le usually auto changma na clash on chen ba so ale then this thing is such a mang pe na financial crisis ang ma chante like chano so ale business na time mang po chano so ale financial crisis ta teve na kazu deal chen chi chen jar kan ba ngal la ya ni jarang like co-founder na ngira na understanding boyot na so ale understanding boyot na vision bo like so share chat na co-founder ji na pocho na dik tanok le in fact chi chen na co-founder ji ga ya la yot na iska chik na chika motivate chen na go abing chima na le to business jang gala chachin le so ale to kaukshia ka criteria ji ka choose chen jar kan bo ngira ta was no ale mi ji na pro tamshi compatibility ra business shi chana ngam po ni jang iske relationship po ruin chaches ta mera ga मतलब ngala friends ni mo do business shi chosta nang iske na clash on stingan man od ngala ground rules chikle choste ngala iska pura business kola demo choste sambatang se ito situation jona hello acha audible ra
ले
okay sorry nga call chile pa acha kazuk situation na kazuk shi deal chon auto ya lenga jarang iska duks te ngala izuk chosta no le iska yo tang sum ka yo na jika na tam shi na ngale nyampo chikna po like time waste ma chaya time bo utilize ka jo chachi rakta gosto no gale usually chi chachi na thopa sumji ji start choste na ek tena ezuk pena masti chuno lu chachi manale te wang char pale mi mang pena Tena khora on hangout jai ko shigyur tenang tena when hangout chena azuk chena mala utusuge ta nijara on calculate chesale kazuk shinima compatible rang izu hisab se tikanan ma ka strength kun no ra la met swale jese marketing aga no ra strength manna ngana ni achele na chi yuzena nang iske strength po ma so yo swale jese ngai ka local nang yam po ngi zu te repo gala yo swale to nang yam po mi gun nang yam po te communicate malab ina locally sam shi communicate jo she jo nang ye zu po strength po gala chama ngali but ye strength po like marketing in a light chamidle isun mata zatan swale like when it's like marketing ayana po ye dika no pas sam chama nale idea kurang acha like acha margin met nang dika no panga tai family member no panga tai you no panga tai friends no patu sam jang tang sa no pala jalak mang po swale odi fe kazu ge achik nang chi compliment choruk swale kazu ge ngatang lo yo danang yampo ami ve ngatang pul chok kazu ge ngat ami lo yo danang po ngati pul chen swale yo nang agar chik accounts na gala yo na chik mazu ko pura management le acha dawale chilo lunduble
Halale.
lundu acha ezo ko dikte na no so met no wala le da online le
Online duk pale. So suje yang question mira le. Kalte question natis pale. Otherwise we can end the session also.
so je question no put up chale le export license से जो question chicken be जो po अगर खोला contact number question नहीं contact number साल चले ले
Oh, tira.
taksa ni na ina private izu text kalte pa cha ni WhatsApp number wo hello
private text चलते था hello
private text ina taksa ni chat through ni na privately ni na kalte pa WhatsApp chat
अच्छा वो तू शायद चले हमारे zoom में का समय बाजू पता छम रुक लेने ना
Otherwise
ni na
itu just lang. Sound asile ki dakse ngai WhatsApp group admin je azuk shik contact chostan ठीक है ngai azuk chostan ba forward
okay
chostan achile number.
thank you so much ole
ओले ओले
yeah
Suje
thank you so
question
much
gala.
ओले
So we can end this session actually. I think there's
ओले
no
ठीक है ओले
questions further.
yeah
Okay,
yeah
so
let's watch
thank you
it
so
on
much.
doubt and I look forward to another day if anybody needs any help you can always forward it to me
Ole. Thank you so much actually.
ओले
Okay, thank you so much actually, and thank you everyone for joining the session. So yeah, we can end the session here.
ओले
Yeah, July, someone.